As children gathered, Ikenna asking about the unique scar that made him use clutches, he got a mat and asked them all to sit down while he shared an old story to them. In the small village of Umwagu, nestled in the heart of eastern Nigeria, the air was alive with excitement. The villagers were preparing for the annual Iri Ji Festival, a celebration of the yam harvest. The yam was a staple crop in Umwagu, and the festival was a time for the villagers to come together and give thanks to the gods for the bountiful harvest. Among the villagers was a young man named Ikenna. Ikenna was a proud and arrogant man who believed himself to be above the traditions of his people. He saw the Iri Ji festival as a waste of time and resources, and he refused to participate. Ikenna's eyes blazed with contempt as he stormed into the sacred grove. The villagers, shocked by his sudden appearance, tried to stop him, but he pushed them aside. "How can you people be so foolish?" Ikenna sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. "These yams are just a symbol of your ignorance. You're so caught up in your primitive traditions that you can't see the truth." With a swipe of his arm, Ikenna sent the carefully arranged yams crashing to the ground. The villagers gasped in horror as Ikenna trampled the yams, his feet crushing the delicate tubers. The high priestess, a wise and aged woman, rushed forward, her eyes blazing with anger. "Ikenna, stop. You're desecrating the sacred grove." But Ikenna just laughed, his eyes gleaming with malice. "You can't stop me," he sneered. "I'm the future, and you're just the past." As Ikenna continued to destroy the yams, the villagers watched in stunned silence. They knew that Ikenna's actions would bring severe consequences, but they were powerless to stop him. The next morning, the villagers awoke to find that Ikenna's farm had been ravaged by an unknown force. The crops were withered and dead, and the livestock lay slaughtered in the fields. Ikenna, realizing that his actions had brought a curse upon his family, was filled with a sense of dread. He tried to apologize to the villagers, but they shunned him, afraid of being tainted by his evil actions. As the days passed, Ikenna's fortunes continued to decline. His family fell ill, and his livestock died. The villagers, believing that Ikenna was cursed, refused to help him, and he was forced to watch as his family suffered. One night, as Ikenna sat by the fire, he heard a strange noise coming from outside. He went to investigate and found that his farm was being ravaged by a swarm of locusts. The insects devoured everything in their path, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. Ikenna, realizing that the curse was real, was filled with a sense of despair. He knew that he had to find a way to lift the curse, but he didn't know where to start. As the locusts continued to ravage his farm, Ikenna fell to his knees, overcome with emotion. He knew that he had brought this destruction upon himself and his family, and he didn't know how to make it right. The villagers, seeing Ikenna's distress, began to whisper among themselves. "The curse is real," they said. "Ikenna has brought destruction upon himself and his family." As the days turned into weeks, Ikenna's farm was reduced to nothing but a barren wasteland. His family was on the brink of starvation, and he was forced to watch as they suffered. But he persevered, driven by his determination to lift the curse and restore his family's fortunes. Finally, after many long and arduous days, Ikenna arrived at the wise old man's hut. The old man, sensing Ikenna's presence, emerged from his hut and greeted him warmly. "Ikenna, my son," the old man said, "I have been expecting you. You have come to seek my help in lifting the curse that has afflicted your family." Ikenna nodded, feeling a sense of hope that he had not felt in many months. "Yes, wise one," he said. "I am willing to do whatever it takes to lift the curse and restore my family's fortunes." The old man nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. "I will help you, Ikenna," he said. "But first, you must prove yourself worthy. You must perform a task for me, one that will require great courage and determination." Ikenna nodded eagerly, willing to do whatever it took to lift the curse. "I am ready, wise one," he said. "Tell me what I must do." The old man smiled, his eyes glinting with amusement. "I will tell you, Ikenna," he said. "But first, you must swear to me that you will complete the task, no matter what dangers or challenges you may face." Ikenna hesitated for a moment, unsure of what lay ahead. But then he nodded, his heart filled with determination. "I swear, wise one," he said. "I will complete the task, no matter what dangers or challenges I may face." The old man nodded, a look of approval on his face. "Very well, Ikenna," he said. "Here is your task. You must journey to the heart of the forest and retrieve a rare and precious herb. The herb is said to have the power to lift the curse and restore your family's fortunes." Ikenna's eyes widened in surprise, but he nodded eagerly. "I will do it, wise one," he said. "I will journey to the heart of the forest and retrieve the herb." The old man smiled, his eyes glinting with approval. "I knew I could count on you, Ikenna," he said. "You have the heart of a true warrior. Now go, and may the gods be with you." Ikenna traveled for many days, facing numerous challenges along the way. He encountered fierce storms, treacherous terrain, and even wild animals. But he persevered, driven by his determination to lift the curse and restore his family's fortunes. One day, as he was walking through a dense forest, he came across a fast-moving river. The current was strong, and the water was deep. Ikenna knew that he had to find a way to cross the river if he wanted to continue his journey. As he was searching for a safe place to cross, he heard a loud rumbling sound. Suddenly, a massive tree trunk came crashing down the river, heading straight for him. Ikenna tried to jump out of the way, but it was too late. The tree trunk struck him with great force, sending him tumbling into the water. Ikenna struggled to stay afloat, but the current was too strong. He was swept away by the river, his body battered and bruised. He lost consciousness, and when he came to, he found himself on the riverbank, his leg badly injured. Ikenna knew that he had to get medical attention as soon as possible. He used his knowledge of herbal medicine to treat his wound, but he knew that he needed more help. He set off once again, this time on a journey to find a healer who could help him. After many days of traveling, Ikenna finally found a healer who was able to help him. The healer, a wise and kind old man, took one look at Ikenna's leg and knew that it was beyond repair. With a heavy heart, the healer told Ikenna that his leg would have to be amputated. Ikenna was devastated. He had never imagined that his journey would take such a drastic turn. But he knew that he had no choice. He agreed to the amputation, and the healer set to work. The operation was a success, but Ikenna's recovery was long and difficult. He had to learn to walk again, this time with a wooden prosthetic leg. But he was determined to continue his journey, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Finally, after many long and difficult months, Ikenna was able to set off once again on his journey to redemption. He knew he had to accept whatever comes his way due to the fact that he brought the curse upon himself and the community. He traveled to the wise old man's hut, where he was greeted warmly. "Ikenna, my son," the old man said, "I can see that you have been through a great deal. But I can also see that you are determined to continue your journey. I will help you, but you must first prove yourself worthy." Ikenna nodded eagerly, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, Ikenna's journey continued. With a set of clothes, his eyes were filled with twists and turns, challenges and triumphs. But through it all, he remained determined to lift the curse and restore his family's fortunes. Ikenna journeyed back to the wise old man's hut, the precious herb clutched in his hand. The old man greeted him warmly, his eyes shining with approval, looking at him with pity. He had lost one of his legs in the journey. "Well done, Ikenna," the old man said. "You have proven yourself to be a true warrior. Now, let us use the herb to lift the curse and restore your family's fortunes." The old man took the herb from Ikenna and began to chant and dance around him. Ikenna felt a strange and powerful energy building up inside him, and he knew that the curse was being lifted. Suddenly, the energy burst forth in a blinding flash of light, and Ikenna felt himself being lifted off the ground. He looked down and saw that the curse had been lifted and that his family's fortunes were being restored. Ikenna returned to his village, where he was greeted as a hero. His family's fortunes had been restored, and their farm was once again thriving. The villagers celebrated Ikenna's return, and they hailed him as a champion. Ikenna, humbled by their praise, knew that he had been given a second chance. He vowed to use his newfound wisdom and courage to help his community, and to always remember the lessons he had learned on his journey. Epilogue. Ikenna's story became a legend, told and retold throughout the land. It was a reminder to always respect the traditions and customs of one's community, and to never forget the importance of courage, determination, and wisdom. And so, Ikenna lived out the rest of his days as a respected and beloved member of his community. He never forgot the lessons he had learned on his journey, and he always made sure to pass them on to his children and grandchildren. Years went by, and Ikenna's legend grew. People would come from all over to hear the story of the young man who had lifted a curse and restored his family's fortunes but never remained the same. And even though Ikenna was long gone, his spirit lived on, inspiring generations to come. The end.